Record to the cloud. Fantastic. Well, welcome everybody. Again, my name is Scott Brown. I am your PQD for the year 2020-2021. And we are in the midst of transitioning from club officer training into the more fun stuff, into the things that we all get to do on a daily basis as we're Toastmasters. And this one is all about pathways. It's all about figuring out how to navigate Basecamp. So just by kind of show of hands, I'm curious, because I don't remember where everybody was in clubs. How many of you are club presidents? A couple club presidents. How many of you are VPEs?
I am.
And Marlene, and so you're a VP as well?
Yes.
Fantastic. And club secretaries. How many of you are club secretaries? Just one. Congratulations, Jerry. Oh, two. Jerry and Nancy are club secretaries. Fantastic. The bigger question though, how many of you have been through Basecamp training before in some version and are still a little bit confused? And Jerry Zimmerman's like, that is me. It's okay, it's perfectly fine. Half the room just put their hands up. That's perfectly fine. So I'm guessing the other half are folks that are just now getting into Basecamp and haven't done this part of the job yet. Is that correct? Yes? All right. So like we talk about at the beginning of all of these, I want to make sure that this is an interactive session. This isn't something that we are going to give you a PowerPoint and have you walk through some sort of PowerPoint presentation like we did when everything was first rolling out a few years ago. This is an interactive, kind of like a round table, but very much directed just to pathways and directed to how to navigate Basecamp. But I want to make sure that we get any questions that are out there answered so that we don't walk away saying, boy, I wish that they had just talked about this thing. So what questions did you bring to start with that you want to make sure that I cover tonight? So as you walk away, you have at least a feeling like you know what you're going to do tomorrow in Basecamp. Who has a question out there? I'm sure somebody has to. Yes, all right, Pat.
Yeah, I'm interested in finding out how I can monitor a particular member's progress.
Aha, okay.
I think I can find how many people have made it into this block, but I don't know how to tell which individual is in which block. Perfect.
So where they are within their path.
Right.
Correct. All right, we will absolutely cover that. Okay, and I'm so sorry, but I still can't pronounce your name. Is it Onyx?
You did it perfectly, Scott.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
The E on the end throws people off, but it's onyx, just like the gemstone. My question is more specific maybe to the website. We have a login, we have a password. Why does it have to time out and kick us out? What is so secure, or what needs to be so secure that I can't step away and come back and be in the same place? And I don't know that you can answer that question, Scott, but it is particularly tedious because I've been in Basecamp and I drill down and you get down to where you need to be, and it's cumbersome, to be quite honest. And then I get booted.
I can answer the question for you, but I can't fix it. So maybe that'll at least help. How many clubs are on Basecamp now as a percentage?
100%, hopefully.
100% of clubs all around the world are on Basecamp right now. What happens if 100% of clubs on Basecamp all walk away at the same time to go get a drink? The system just cannot hold that much bandwidth to be able to support thousands of folks that all got thirsty at the same time, or their dog barked at the same time, or whatever the reason is. They had to go somewhere and do this thing, or they forgot to log out and they went to work and they're on there for the next 8 hours. I can't fix it, but I can tell you that it is 100% about bandwidth. I do know that they are now working on trying to increase the amount of time that they'll allow people to stay on, because they've had to do some massive upgrades to the computer systems and that they have at Toastmasters International. When they went and switched over and did all the contests online, what they had before just wouldn't work. So they've been upgrading all of their systems there. And the talk is that they are trying to increase the amount of time that folks will be able to stay on everything without getting booted off. So I can't fix it for you, Onyx. I would love to, but I can tell you why. So maybe that helps a little bit just to know the why behind it.
It does help, Scott. Thank you.
Okay.
It does make sense.
Perfect. Very good. All right. What other questions did somebody bring tonight that we can make sure that we cover tonight? Jerry Webb, what say you,
Can
my
you hear
friend?
me okay?
Yep, perfect.
All right. I would like you to go over the approval process for a level to get approved, and both, not just the approval, but how the whole thing works. You know, when the
Okay.
Toastmaster completes a level and he submits it for approval, and any shortcuts you might know, because I find it, you know, with the timer running, as mentioned previously, you got to be kind of quick, so you can't ponder very long. So any shortcuts you know would be great.
Absolutely. We will definitely go through that. Jerry Zimmerman.
Yes, I have had difficulties printing certificates. Now, I haven't tried it recently, say in the past couple of months, but I know when I done before, layout was not good. I just had difficulties. I'm used to the nice certificate with a name in the middle and so forth. Maybe that's just not an option anymore.
Unfortunately, Mary Jo, I know that you're not Mary Jo, and I know that I know you, but I cannot place the name, so we'll get you in 1 second. Jerry, I know that we would love to have those beautiful certificates that got mailed to us on a card stock that were professionally done. Unfortunately, that's no longer a thing. So the certificates we are going to print will never look as nice as what our old ones did, but there is an option to be able to print them as well.
Well, I know I've printed and I have cardstock. I can make it look good.
Okay.
It's just the layout that I'm having trouble with.
The layout, I can't fix, as much as I would like to fix the layout, I have the same option with that as I do with being able to fix the amount of time that we have to get through all of Pathways. It's just unfortunate, just one of those things that Toastmasters needs to, at some point, upgrade, but there's no talk yet of that being a thing. So hopefully we'll get there one of these days. Ye who is not Mary Jo, but who probably knows someone named Mary Jo.
Mary Jill is my wife. This is Rodney Vander, Top of the Morning Club. And just for everybody's information, Kyoko, down there in your screen, is from Tokyo, Japan. She's a member of our club.
Nice.
While we're here in West Lafayette. But the question I have, the concern I have is how to deal with evaluations. I've not figured out how to get them in or how to use them so people recognize and get credit for it. So I'm concerned about evaluations.
Okay, very good. We can definitely talk about that. Anything else out there that's pressing that you want to make sure that we cover tonight? Yes. Is it Yajira?
Jahaira. Nice to meet you all.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Jahaira.
Jahira. Did I
Yes.
get it right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Is there a way to track new membership efforts in Basecamp, or that's something that we have to do outside?
What do you mean by new membership efforts?
Like, you know, if someone has reached out to us and we provide the information, some come back, some never showed up again. And if we have a goal on, you know, just to track how effective our outreach is there a tool to track that?
Yes and no. Yes, there is definitely a tool to track that. No, it is not part of Pathways. So Pathways is the educational section of Toastmasters. What you're looking for is more of a marketing outreach for how do people find your club. There are definitely some tools that do that. How many of you use Free Toast Host for different things? A couple, all right. Anybody use Easy Speak for anything? Just Pat, all right. Has anybody heard of Easy Speak before besides Pat and I? All right, a couple say yes. I think Easy Speak provides the easiest and most comprehensive system for tracking how people find your club. They have a great way of being able to track visitors, be able to track folks moving through pathways in different ways, and also able to do a really good job of scheduling meetings. A second layer of that, the second best bet, I think, is Free Toast Toast that does similar things, but not necessarily quite as user-friendly. But neither of them tie into Pathways or into Basecamp within Pathways. So yes, there are tools that are out there, but those are completely separate tools and functions from what we actually use within Pathways and Basecamp. So yes, I would love to help you with that, but that's not going to be where we go tonight. Fair? All right, very good. All right, any other questions before we get going? Okay, I am going to mute all of you. And then when you have questions, please just unmute yourself and ask away. Is that fair? You can do that? We're good? All right. If you haven't met me before, you know that I am not so formal, and I'm more than happy to be interrupted as often as you have questions. There's no problem with that at all. So I'm going to switch over and I'm going to share a screen here. I am going to share Zoom. Okay, that's very unusual. All right, hold on one second here. Let's go back there. Let's go back there. Let's go back to here. Let's try this again, see if that showed up anywhere. Ah. All right, screen 2 is gone. Why is my... There we go. All right, everyone can see that I am logged into Toastmasters now, correct? All right, when you go into here, this is going to be how you access everything for Pathways and everything for Basecamp. Now, everyone knows there's kind of two different ways. You can always go through the Pathways tab across the top banner here, or I think the easier way, if you just click on your name on the top and go into Toastmasters International through yourself. And we're spinning. So the reason why I like to go in through to Pathways through your own login here is that it takes you to this nice little information set where you can go to Basecamp, you can create a new path, or you can view the navigator. And within Basecamp here, it gives you the option to either log in as a Basecamp manager or not. See the box I'm clicking here to log into Basecamp manager or not log into Basecamp manager? If you log in as Basecamp manager, I'm going to pick Fort Wayne Storytellers because I have a couple of clubs here in which I'm a member, but Fort Wayne Storytellers is one of the only clubs in which I am a Basecamp manager, so I'll be able to get through all the functionality there. So if you're a member of multiple clubs, make sure you go to the drop-down box and pick the club for which you want to manage this. Very important, if you're going to go in and try to approve someone's level and you go into the wrong club, you're never going to find them there. So if you go into Basecamp Manager, it's going to flip you over. And look at that, Jerry Zimmerman. We have a notice that just came up about Pathway certificates, almost like they were listening to us. Certificate of proficiency earned. This is brand new. I was just in here 20 minutes ago and this was not here. So basically, they're not going to mail certificates anymore, which I kind of think we all knew was happening anyway. All right, so within Basecamp Manager, here are the major things that we do in Basecamp Manager. Member progress. Somebody was asking me about member progress. And somebody was also asking about pending requests. Here are the two big things that we do. First, pending requests. By what levels do you go in and approve pending requests? Is it after every project, after every level, or when somebody completes an entire path? When do you think you go in to actually approve pending requests?
A level or a path?
I think it's level
Did I lose
3. I
volume
don't know.
again?
Yeah, when it
Gary Zimmerman, I
completes
cannot hear you.
a level.
I think it's for any level completion and the final path completion.
Agreed.
Member requests that a level completion be approved.
All right, so we go in and approve. We go in and approve all of our requests after somebody completes a level. It's not after each speech. It's not after each project. So because it's not after each project, sometimes you'll have 3 to 5 projects within an individual level. So how many of you have actually gone through and completed your level 1 for something, for your individual paths? A few of you have, all right. So how many speeches were in level 1? Do you remember?
4 plus an evaluation.
4. There were 4. You had your icebreaker, you had your research, you had your deliver a speech, get evaluated, give it again, and then do an evaluation. So kind of 4.5, 5, if you want to call the evaluation another level as well. So we have at least 4 different speeches that we go into, at least 4 different projects to be able to approve that level. When somebody does that, you're going to get a little email and it says, this person has completed a level. And Jerry Webb, I believe you were the one that was asking about this, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. When you get the email and you click on that link that I just clicked on, pending requests, this is where you go. It's going to tell you who has completed a level. Now, I cannot go in and complete this one. Why can't I complete this one that's sitting here?
You can't
Because
do your
it's
own.
you.
Exactly. Same way that it was when we were VPEs, when we still used all the old manuals. You can't go in and complete yourself. They want at least a second party to take a look at it. So if this was somebody else.
I had a question.
Sure, Pat.
You mentioned that you'd get an email that this is pending.
Correct.
When I was VPE, I was not getting those emails and people were always bugging me about signing off. Is there a way to fix that?
Yes, absolutely. Do you know how you set up your regular email, your email notification address through Toastmasters in the first place on Club Central? Do you know where that is? We'll go back to that. All right. So hold that thought then. We'll go back to that later. How about that? Is that fair?
Well, as long as you tell me it's not in Pathways.
It's not in Pathways.
Okay, then I can find it on the website.
We'll go in. We'll do that one last.
Okay.
Fair? Okay. So yes, you get an email that tells you that there is a pending request out there. All that you're going to do, it's going to tell you when it was completed. I completed this one on 3/24. We're a brand new chartered club. At that point, we didn't have a VPE. We do now, which I need to get Alice to go in. And over here on the side, there is a place. Let me move all of you. Can I drag this? There's a place over on the far side. You see the little checkbox and the X? Checkbox, complete. X, deny. Why would you deny someone completing a level? Couple of thoughts. Why would you deny somebody to complete a level?
They didn't really complete it. Someone made a mistake and sent it forward anyway.
That is absolutely one reason. What's another one? Did you ever find somebody when we were still doing manuals that may have checked off all of the boxes but didn't actually deliver the projects or the speeches? Have you ever heard of that happening? that people tried to get credit for stuff they never actually did?
No.
Okay. It happens. Unfortunately, it happens. While there's no Toastmasters police, say that you have a club, which you all do, and within your club, you know that I am a member, but you know that I am only a member of one club. So you know that the only place that I can give a speech usually is in your club. But I haven't spoken in your club for 6 months. But yet all of a sudden I have 2 levels completed. How did that happen? Chances are it probably didn't happen, but I just wanted to get credit for something, probably because my boss told me, you need to join Toastmasters, and when you complete these levels, then you'll be eligible for this thing, a bonus, a promotion, to not get fired, any of those things that can happen. Doug's like, oh, I've heard of that before, yes. All those things kind of happen with how people join Toastmasters. So if you know somebody has not done it at all, or you want to double check if they have, you can hit the deny and do some more research before you actually approve stuff. Or you can just leave it sitting here for months if you don't want to approve it. When you hit the check mark, really simple process. You hit approve, and it automatically generates emails to go back to the other members of who are Basecamp managers, and also to the member who submitted it. So simple as that. Go to the requested by, either approve it or deny it.
Scott, am I correct in saying that the system will not let you go forward or work on that path until it has been approved?
You can't move to the next level.
In pathways, that's
correct.
until it's been approved, yeah.
Within that particular path.
Right.
So I'm currently doing a couple of different paths. So even though I can't move forward in level 3, I can go back to the path I just completed. I can still do projects in there should I want to. I can't move forward and get credit for anything until this one's actually completed, and it then opens up level 4. So yes, that is absolutely true. So we comfortable with how we did this part, with being able to approve? Yes, thumbs up.
I've done a few of these.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was another step or a screen that shows up and it says, do you have any comments about this? Am I wrong on that?
When you hit the check mark, I believe there is one that says you've had any comments. You don't need to put anything in there if you don't want to. You can if you want to, but you don't need to. There's no necessity to add extra documentation in there. But you get that when you hit the check mark. Cool?
Yep.
All right. We all set on how to approve levels and why we only approve levels and not projects. We're all comfortable there?
Yes.
Thumbs up if we're good.
I have a quick question / comment, Scott. Can you hear me?
Sure, absolutely. Go for it, Onyx.
I heard you say that you cannot proceed to the next level until this is approved. However, that has not been my experience. I believe I understand before my time, I'm fairly new, that the levels were locked and you had to complete a level before the next level was unlocked. But I am able to look at projects and speeches within any level, whether I've completed the previous level or not.
Correct. You can absolutely go see them. You can't complete them though.
Okay.
So even though you can go see something in level 4, level 5, I'm waiting for level 3, I can't go in and actually do something within level 4, level 5 until level 3 gets completed.
Okay, thank you for the
So there's a
clarification.
difference between being able to see it. I could go in and see what the project is and actually go do the project and then go backdate it and that sort of thing if I wanted to. Not really necessary or the right way to do it. You just can't go in and make any other changes to your own individual path until you've been approved to move on to the next level.
Thank you.
The system doesn't allow you to jump ahead like the manuals did.
It allows you to see ahead, though. It didn't,
right.
Until a couple of months ago, we couldn't see ahead. Now we can see ahead. We just can't jump ahead. You're right. Good.
Scott, I had a comment on that. Sure. I'm not sure if I'm splitting hairs or not, but my experience was, even though I didn't have a level completed, I could go up and work on the next level, but I couldn't submit the next level for approval until I had the prior level completed. Does that make any sense?
That's the exact thing that we just said, but you just said it in a different way.
All right, good.
So so however you want to say it, that's exactly correct. That is true. All right, so we're good with this part. We're good with the approval part, yes?
Scott, I have
Yes.
a question, please.
Sure. What's up,
If
Glenn?
we want to go back in and double check someone to make sure they've completed all that they need to, what is the easiest way to do that?
All right, so hold that for 1 second. We'll go back to that. So we're okay with the approval part. Can we move past the approval part? Yeah, okay, good. All right. So if we move past the approval part, member progress. Let's go into member progress. And that's going to answer a couple of your questions. And this would be why we can't leave, this would be the answer to Onyx's question to why we can't stay in pathways forever and a day, because it slows stuff down. All right, individual progress for this. So if I go into individual progress, come on. All right, to see all members, select options and refresh. So I went to options and I hit refresh. And now we spin. Rats. Options, it won't let me see anything. Okay, so what is supposed to show here? And unfortunately, at the moment, for whatever reason, it's not showing here. What is supposed to show here is who is doing level 1 projects, what level 1 projects are in progress. So if you say you have 10 members in your club, and because I'm sharing the screen, I can only see 5 of you, so I'm just going to say that Onyx, Mary Jo, Gwen, and Jerry are in my club. It would have the 4 of them. Oh, look, here we go. Fantastic. Came back. So it would then be, you would then be able to see from an individual progress, you would see who's done icebreakers, how many have done research and presenting. So the individual projects that are through here. Level 2, how many are in progress, and level 3. It's going to show this. You can do this by person. So because I'm sitting in the one for me, it's going to show mine. You can do level completions.
Scott, actually, when you're in individual progress, it showed the projects like icebreaker and evaluation, and it showed like 2 people or 4 people or the count. If you go back to that, you see the arrow in the upper right of that box. If you move your cursor into the level 1 projects in progress field, and then that arrow pops up, no, go back into that box, into the, and then view details, and then you can see by person.
Correct. Thank you, Onyx.
You better go over that again because you went through it kind of quickly, Scott. But it is
right.
kind of important. That is a very important detail. That's
individual.
easy to miss.
So Doug, you see individual progress here, correct?
Yeah. It's the little arrow over to the right-hand side. That thing right there.
That thing right there.
It doesn't
right?
even appear if you
There.
don't know it's there.
Correct. And then you go to view details, and you can export it to Excel also. So if you want to save it to your computer, you can. If you want to print it out, you're welcome to do that too. But if you view it,
And then wait, it just takes a long time.
yeah.
I think that was my problem. I wasn't patient.
So it is going to show, so down here, it's going to show the person. So myself, I completed visionary communication. I completed level 1 for engaging humor. Alice completed level 1 for innovative planning. And then it goes through our histories for each person for where
We can't see what you see, Scott.
you
Yeah,
can't see
you need
that?
to go down on your screen so we can all see that.
Actually, it pops up a new window and you're not sharing screen
Oh,
for that new
oh,
window
right.
that popped up.
Yeah, share the new window, please.
Let's see how we do that. So let's minimize that. Let's go back to, I go there, no.
There's an option to share your entire screen.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that. Oh, here we go. Zoom, it's at the top now.
Yeah, there you go.
Share. And
Now,
then we go to
correct.
here. And we're gonna
I
share
am
that.
finding it very helpful
There we go.
that I have two computers going at the same time. And so I'm following you on one and I'm in Basecamp on the other one. And it's
Okay,
really
perfect. All right, so can everyone see the kind of compilation screen now?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So user full name, these are the members that have completed levels. So how many folks have done the evaluation and feedback project? 3. How many have done the icebreaker project? Same amount basically. I'm in a small club with this. So within my own, because I'm in that level, that's kind of where I get stuck here. But this is going to give you a history of where members are within their individual levels, within how they are progressing through their path, through their pathway. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right, can I close this one?
Well, just as an example,
Yes,
I see your name and I see Alice Runyon.
Correct.
And so by looking at this, I can see Alice has done evaluation feedback.
Yep. Icebreaker 4. She did her icebreaker on 9/20/2018.
Okay.
Research and presenting, she did on 4/18/2019.
Okay.
So those are just the level 1 projects. It's only going with level 1. It's not pulling up level 2, level 3. So it's only going with the 3 titles of the projects from level 1.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then you'd also be able to look at that for level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. All right, so does all that make sense for where to see where people have gone through this? I can close this one. Going once, going twice.
There was a question in chat from Judy. She asked if you could go back and show how you got there again.
Okay. All right, exit full screen, I go. Share screen. Share there, open. Let's go back, let's go back. All right. You said it was Judy who was asking this?
Yes, correct.
All right, member progress, we hit member progress, right?
Yes.
And then we waited for our spinning to catch up to us a little bit. All right, can everyone see the individual progress now?
Yes.
Everyone's still here.
Yep.
Over on the side, all right, Judy, you see level 1 projects in progress. And if I go over to here, see this little arrow drop down? That's where I clicked on that arrow. And then I viewed details. And on mine, it pops back up. I would have to then go back in to figure out how to share the screen again.
So Scott, this is Judy.
Yeah.
Is it on the bottom of that screen?
Is what on the bottom of the screen?
The names, where it showed the people's names.
No, it'll be on a new tab.
Yes, it's on a brand new tab.
So it doesn't come up automatically.
All right.
Well, it'll
All right,
take
so
you
here- all
there,
right, so- all right, so here, so- all
Zoom
right,
is
Judy.
not recognizing it.
So Judy, do you see where I hit the drop down, or are you
Yes.
following that part? All right, and then you see
Yes.
lift view details, correct?
Yes.
All right. Now I have to go to, can I go to new share and this one and there? All right. Can you now see this is what pops up when you hit that view details. Do you see the bar graph here?
Yeah. Okay. I didn't
And then
know
and
how
then I
you
just
got to
roll-
that
yep.
screen.
Then I rolled down, and that's where I show the names down here.
Yeah. Okay. I just wasn't sure how you got to that.
All right. Anybody else? We all
Okay.
cool with this or no?
Yeah. Thank you.
We're good.
Sure. All right. Everyone else is good, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. Moving on. Okay, so it's pending request, member progress. There's also a tutorial here. There's also a tutorial to learn about Basecamp and as a Basecamp manager. It's the exact same presentation that everyone went around and did a couple of years ago when we were doing pathways, what are they called? Pathways guides and pathways ambassadors. It's the exact same manager tutorial that's been there since that first started. So that's under, and you saw under here, this is all under reports, correct? So we logged in and we went to reports. Everyone knows how we got to this screen, yes?
Yes.
All right. So if I go back to home, I go back to home, I should go back to home. I don't.
Come on, Scott. You know you have to hover over it, then go down to the next viewing of home.
And unfortunately, oh yes, you're absolutely right. Home, home, home. All right. Okay, so that's where we start with this. Then we can go to paths and learning. All right. This is your individual, this would be your individual curriculum. The only thing that we really have in here anymore is the navigator. To go through and learn how to be a Basecamp manager. It's kind of it's the same program that we had that couple years ago. And then the other,
Looks like you timed out.
The pathways and Zoom together are putting a big load on your connection.
yeah, they are. And my wife is on a laptop and watching television at the same
Ooh.
time out on the patio. All right, so that is why we did this. All right, while this is, oh, here we go. Fort Wayne Storytellers. My connection is unstable, very nice. Hey, there we go. All right, and we're back. All right, tutorials and resources. You remember when we first started rolling this out, they said there was going to be a bunch of different resources that were available. This is where they ended up setting them all. The 360-degree evaluation
Your voice is warbling.
Yeah, we've lost you, Scott, audio.
All right. Can anybody hear me now?
Yes.
All right. I lost all of you. I could tell that there was nobody there. It all went completely silent. All right. So let's try this one more time. That all closed. Toastmasters. Log in. Let's try this again. I got kicked out. I got kicked out of Pathways. I got kicked out of TI, actually.
Welcome to the club.
Oh, I unfortunately am a charter member.
So Scott, what
Yep.
browser are you using?
I am on, what am I on? I'm on Google. So I'm on whatever that one is. Chrome. I'm on Chrome.
Okay.
I'm using Safari.
Is yours working any better?
I'm not doing as much as you are, but it seems to be working fine for me.
Okay.
I had trouble logging in with one of my browsers last week. I mean, I was locked out for about a week until I finally switched to a different browser. So just if anyone has troubles logging in, and you might just try changing browsers.
Yeah.
But most of you probably don't use strange browsers the way I do.
Name a couple you like.
Opera, Brave, and CC Cleaner.
Oh, very nice. Okay. Those are good. I did not know those. All right. So did you see how I got to report? I went to reports and I got back to here. So you can, that's kind of the longer way to get to this. So if you don't remember to click on the button, did you see how I got back to reports here? Yes, or was anyone following that? That on the top bar here, I went to reports. I hovered. I went to dashboards. And it slowly switched me back to go to the same place as member progress. So if for whatever reason this one doesn't work, there is a secondary way to get in to be able to look at member progress. It is through reports and through dashboards through here. And we went back to this level. So that's just a second way to be able to get in to track where members are, to be able to see where they are within this. That is the number one thing that Basecamp managers need to do, is to be able to approve levels. That's the number one thing, to know where members are and to be able to approve levels for completion. Number one thing to be able to do for that. So from a Basecamp manager standpoint, are we comfortable with how to use that portion? Yes or no? We're good with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm going to click off of Basecamp Manager here for a second. And I'm just going to go in as me. If I go up to the top here and I click on my little, I have my image saved, but not everyone has an image saved. Come on, close. If I click on that, has everyone seen this little section down here where we need to record when members have completed individual jobs with their individual roles within a club. There are portions of pathways where in order to move forward, member has to have completed all of the roles that you would normally have within one level of a CL. So an all counter, general evaluator, grammarian, speech evaluator, timer, Toastmaster, topic master. All of that would just be done right through here.
And who enters that?
There is a place for the member to enter. So I am in my own bio here. This is not something a Basecamp manager has to do, but when a member completes each of these roles, they just go in, they click on their icon at the top, and under Basecamp profile, that is where it goes down. And if these were not completed yet, there would be a checkbox here for me to be able to complete that I've done the all kind of, but you only have to do them once. So we all know that we do roles many, many times, not just once, but you only have to do them once. Once it's done, it just sits here forever and it considers you completed.
But for the VP of Education, could they go in and do that if for a new member as they complete the roles?
No, you just have to be able to talk a new member through or show a new member how to get to.
Okay.
And it's just by logging into yourself, click on this little icon at the top up here.
I've been into this before,
Okay.
but I didn't know.
Yeah, as a VPE or as a Basecamp manager, you don't have access to be able to update this. The member has to do it.
Okay.
But it's good to know when they get stuck somewhere, it says that, and I forget which level it's on, but there's a level in there that it asks for this to be done. Definitely before you can complete level 5. I know it's definitely before that. In every level, it asks for this to be done. But that is where you figure that part out. How many of you are familiar with ePortfolio? Has anybody used the ePortfolio at all? So ePortfolio is a place where you can store documents. And this is a great place that if you want to upload your evaluations, you can upload your evaluations and save them within your profile for forever, for as long as you want to keep them there. So there was a question about tracking evaluations. Now, if you have a member that we talked about that you're not sure if they've actually done the work, if they've actually gone through and gotten evaluated on projects, and they've actually finished them, they can go in and they can pull up their ePortfolio and it will show you level 1, I have 7 files saved in level 1. So if I go to level 1, these are all of the JPEGs for project 1, project 2, project 3 that I have saved in here from over the years. There's 2 ways to be able to save them here. One is going to ePortfolio, over on the right-hand side, add file, and just scan it and then upload the saved file to here. This is actually the only thing that's actually easier to use pathways on a phone or on a tablet. This is the only thing that's actually easier because you can take a picture of it and just save the picture right to here. Much easier to do that on a phone or on a tablet than what it is on a laptop. This is for members though. So this is something for all of you as Basecamp managers to know about, but not necessarily need to manage. This is where members can save all of their evaluations.
But
now,
they do not have to.
Do not have to. There's no need that they actually have to, but if they want to, they can. Like I haven't saved any of mine since 2018. It's been a day since I've saved anything in there. I could save them all if I wanted to. Do any of you have clubs where you use the ballot forms to vote for best speaker, best evaluator, best table topics, and to provide feedback to each of the speakers, to provide feedback to the table topics master, to the Toastmaster, and to the general evaluator? Those long white forms that are ballots. Anybody out there use those?
Before Zoom.
Before Zoom.
Yeah. True. When we actually met in person, when there was another person in the room with us,
right?
You know what I'm talking about with those little tear-off forms that we used to get?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
The ones that don't really have enough room to provide meaningful.
Perfect. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That you have to write in 2-point font, and then you need to be able to take a picture and blow it up 12 times so you can read what the person wrote. That's exactly the form I'm talking about. This takes the place of that. So instead of Instead of trying to keep all of those little pieces of paper and taping them into a manual book and hoping to not lose those little slips, this is a place where if you still use those in your in-person meetings, they can just take pictures and just upload those pictures into here as well. They can tape them all to a page and just upload that page of comments into here as well. So it makes it a little bit easier to keep the feedback that members get from all around the club to make their journey a little easier for them, a little bit more beneficial for them. But it's all in the e-portfolio, and then the add file is how you get to the spot here.
Does anybody have access to the e-portfolio of a member other than the member themselves?
No, just a member. Just a member. It's done for privacy, because sometimes the feedback is personal, and it doesn't want it wants to give members a place to be able to track their own progress, how they want to track it, so that nobody else can get in and delete stuff or do something nefarious, use their comments against them, all that sort of thing.
But Scott, I believe that I can go in and send feedback to a member within
Correct.
Pathways. Then they would have to save that into this.
Correct. So I'm in ePortfolio right now. If I go 2 tabs over to feedback and click on feedback, this is how you can send feedback between people. So you can either request feedback from individuals, or you can just go in and randomly send feedback to somebody. Either way works. Same with your badges. You can save those as well through this process. But this is the saving part is managed by the member themselves. So we can send feedback to somebody, but we can't make them save it, nor can we retrieve it. We'll have a history of what we sent, but we won't have a history of what anybody else sent, though.
That's not user friendly, though, to do it during the club.
Only if you're in a club that has a really good Wi-Fi connection. And it's very rare that we meet in a place like that. This is much easier to, if you're meeting in person, it's still a lot easier to do the manual feedback, take the pictures and upload them. It's still an easier process overall. So any other questions about the ePortfolio, about feedback through here? Does that all make sense?
Have you or have anybody who's on the call had success with this feedback? I've experimented with it back a couple months ago, and I did not get responses. So
you can see I've received one piece of feedback, 3/19/2018. That tells you how much I use this feature. It's
I'm having
the other problem used to be that if the person you're seeking feedback from or giving feedback to was not yet in Pathways, now we're all on Pathways, but there was a time not long ago when that wasn't the case, and people who are not on Pathways were not receiving requests to provide feedback.
do they show up as an email, or how do they show up if someone requests?
That is show up in your feedback.
So I won't see that as a member. I won't see feedback unless I log in and click on that tab for feedback. I won't be notified in any other way that I have feedback.
The last time that I used it at all, clearly a couple of years ago, and at that point you didn't receive any notification. I've not seen anything that's changed, but I personally don't really use that system very much. I believe that the only way to get to that is actually go in and look for it, though. I believe that to be the case. All right.
Okay.
So I want to move on really quickly, because I think it might have been Jerry that just said this, that everyone is now on Pathways. Who was it that said that? Was it Jerry? Was it Doug? I couldn't see.
It was Doug.
It was Doug. All right.
That is
I love that sentiment that everyone is on Pathways. Is that true, though?
No.
It is not true.
Yeah, some people still haven't made the first step.
Correct. So here's
the prodding.
Yes. So I think what we've talked about is the physical part of being a Basecamp manager and a VPE and a president, secretary, all that sort of a thing. I think this is the most important step, though. We as a district are one of the least compliant when it comes to Pathways participation, especially for new members.
Really?
We have a significant amount, like close to 40% of our new members don't get signed up for Pathways in the first 90 days. Exactly, Doug. I could see the mouth. I could see the wow. That you're 100% correct. That is a big wow, and not in a good way.
No.
So here's kind of, I think, our biggest challenge as we go forward with Pathways. When we used to use CC and CL manuals, how did we get somebody to get their first CC or CL manual?
It was mailed to them.
It was mailed to them. There was something that was just an automatic system that one day it just showed up at their house, right? We don't have that anymore, do we? We have to create our own automatic systems that work for us in our individual clubs to be able to get folks logged into Pathways. When you first sign, when you first become a member, you have to first register within Toastmasters International. And we know that not every member is even registered within Toastmasters International. There are some members out there for a number of reasons. Some of them just a complete fear of technology, just aren't registered with TI. And that's the first step. Second step is then to be able to pick a path, to be able to go into Pathways. You can't do you can't do step 2 without step 1. I encourage you, and I'm not going to say that there is a one right way to do this, because we all have different clubs with different cultures that meet in different times and different places with different members. All of us need to find our own way, but we all need to find a way so when someone joins a club, they're able to then just log in. You're able to walk them through the process of being into Toastmasters International and help them when you first go in there to be able to pick a path, to be able to know how to then flip that screen and click on your name, go to the next screen, and be able to pick a path. The first path is paid for with your $20 that you first paid to Toastmasters. So they're not paying any extra money. They've paid for it. It's a shame that folks aren't using the benefits that they've already paid for when they first joined Toastmasters. But we have to come up with the processes within our own clubs that work for us. The ones that I've seen work the best still involve that one-to-one contact like we used to have when somebody first came in and you sat with them when they first came to a meeting in person. Because remember we first were meeting individually, the first time we walked into meetings and people clapped incessantly and stood up and sat down and shook hands and tore off pieces of paper and passed it to each other like you were in 7th grade passing notes. It was confusing. Like when I first joined, I had no idea what was happening. And I was in a club that used a bell every time somebody said an an ah, a double clutch. So it sounded like Clarence was getting his wings every 7 seconds for the entire meeting. And I had no idea what was happening. It was confusing. But the way we got around that and the way that I got connected was I had somebody sit beside me and say, here's what's happening. And they walked me through the process. And they showed me what a manual was. And they showed me what a CL manual was. And they helped me understand what Toastmasters was and how the whole thing worked. Then we went online. And none of us had laptops in front of us at meetings. So somebody sits down and we try to explain to them a little bit, but then we don't have that touch point where we're physically showing them this is how it happens. The clubs that I've seen that are most successful with getting people registered for Pathways and helping them through those first couple of speeches are the ones that have a touch point outside of that first meeting. Whether they're going to get coffee somewhere, whether they're in a Zoom meeting, they're just logging on individually and walking them through to share a screen with them. But there's a one-on-one individual contact with a new member to walk them through how to do that. It's up to you to how that works, to what that looks like for you. But I've never seen anyone be successful that did not have some sort of a one-on-one contact between people. So find the one that works for you. It's not going to be the same for everybody. It's going to have to be different for everybody, but find the one that works for you. The second thing I think is incredibly important as we're going through all of this, When we were first going through our first 10 speeches, how many of us knew what we wanted to use Toastmasters for long term? At best, it was a maybe. We kind of had an idea, but we went through 10 speeches and tried to find our way through those 10 speeches. And somewhere along the way, we're like, oh, this works out really well, and I can apply it to this thing that I'm doing out in the real world. So this is where Toastmasters applies to me. But we didn't figure it out on speech 1. We figured it out somewhere along those first 10 speeches, right? Anybody else have that kind of the same experience? That I know I definitely had that. I know other folks that have had that. Those 10 speeches mattered. Now we're asking people, when you first join, we want you to figure out where you're going with this before you get started. Helping someone understand how Toastmasters can fit into what they're trying to do. Oh, Jerry, you had 15 speeches when you first joined. So that was the old CM back in the day.
Yeah. The day.
So you had a different progression. Now we need to sit down with them and help them say, okay, there's 11 paths to choose from. Here's where each one of them will lead you down the road. We have to do a better job of being able to help guide them on their path, because the paths now, we have to pick a path to start with instead of getting 10 or 15 speeches into it before we pick the path. Because it used to be you finished 10, then you picked an advanced manual, and that's where you started personalizing it to what you wanted to do. Now it has to begin with the start. So those touch points, those individual conversations become that much more crucial. So you know from your members who they are, what they want, why they joined, why they're coming back, why they picked you as a club. The more you can build that individual relationship, I know you heard me talk about that a lot on roundtables, was the relationships. The more you can foster those and have those individual touch points, the better we can do at helping people not be so confused by pathways. And number 3, how many of us know a member that is scared to death of the computer? For some of us, it's us individually. I'm still baffled, clearly, by a lot of what happens online. I don't completely get how everything works. They'd be the first to admit it. I didn't know how to turn on a computer until I was in my 30s. I know for anybody younger than 25, you're like, how is that even possible? But it really was back in the day. So a lot of us have a different learning curve and comfort level when it comes to computers. There's another generation that's ahead of me, that the baby boomers, that are even less comfortable with their history with computers and technology. If we don't help them figure out how to work through pathways and to not be afraid of being able to navigate and making mistakes, and you can't break it, you just have to start over. Those are the folks that often have the hardest time being able to get onto pathways and connect and do any of this in the first place. So those 3 things, I think, are the 3 most important parts of what our job is as Basecamp managers. It's not necessarily just a technical part of how do we approve a level, how do we know where people are within levels, scheduling speeches, all those sorts of things. It's helping people comfortable with the educational system and how it matters to them outside of where we sit within our meetings, especially since we're sitting in our own living rooms, comfortable, drinking a tea, maybe not wearing shorts. Completely depends upon where we are. But that connection, if we don't have that, it doesn't matter. I know I've talked to a lot of you on different Zoom calls now. You know a little bit about who I am. So there's a comfort level of a give and take here. You need that same thing with every member that comes in, and how do you build that rapport with them in a different way than what we ever did before. So I'd love to hear thoughts on how do you do that? How would you help another club? What are the best practices you've learned that you want to share?
Persistence, persistence, persistence.
Yeah.
Particularly with the legacy members.
Yeah. So short, funny story.
I have a question.
Yes, Kyoto, yes.
Yes, and is that possible to pay the fee for the membership through Pathway?
No, unfortunately, no.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we can't pay through Pathways. They are hoping that members will be able to pay online someday, but it's still just officers that can pay online.
I see.
Sorry.
Okay. And I don't know how much is the fee? It depends on the club or the
Toastmasters
base.
International has one set fee. For Toastmasters International, it's still $45 for every 6 months. It gets prorated depending upon how far the 6 months you're through. And then a
Okay.
$20 initiation for Pathways. And then every
Mhm.
club has an individual club fee that ranges from 0 to whatever.
I
Some clubs
see.
have no individual fee. I was in a club that had a $20 membership fee when you first started, and $7 per meeting. It depends where you go.
Okay,
So at
thank you
least
very much.
$65 to, so $65 maximum to start. Maximum.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Sure. So when it comes to technology, you're going to find folks with all different levels. When we first started rolling Pathways out when I was in Florida, I was doing a live session, and I had a mouse with me, and I was saying, click on this, and I used it as the laser pointer to be able to show them. And then I got a call from one of the members that was in that club saying, when I hold the mouse up in the air and wave it, it doesn't go to where I want to go. So you're dealing with lots of different technology levels. We have to be able to meet people where they are. And it sounds funny, right? Like you think about, like you have the visual that like, that's ridiculous. But to them, they were completely like, I don't get it. I'm doing the same thing that he did. It's not working.
And
And we all make mistakes.
you don't dare hint that it's funny.
Exactly, you don't. Everyone is at a different level. The same thing, like when we get going and we just forget things we know. Like I forgot to hover over the icon so we can go down one and pick the thing that I wanted to pick in the first place. We all make mistakes like that too. Let them know that you're human. Walk them through stuff as much as you can. And the more that we can build these reciprocal relationships, the better off our club's going to be. Find your way through your club.
Has anyone walked a new member through the process of Pathways using Zoom? I have.
Not a new member, but a member who was struggling with Pathways. And I actually think that Zoom is, for me, a pretty good way of doing it. The place where we used to meet in person, the Wi-Fi connection wasn't that good, so it was kind of difficult to sit down with a member and show them how it works because it just didn't work very well. Whereas with Zoom, I've got a good connection here and the other person had a good connection, so it worked pretty well.
So do you have them do the screen sharing and then you direct them as to what they're to do on their screen?
Well, we had to allow both participants to share screens and we switched back and forth. I shared screen, and then when he had a problem, he had to show me what his problem was. I'd have to let him share the screen. But there were only 2 of us online, so it wasn't that difficult.
Okay. Good, thanks.
Thanks, Doug. That was nice. What else? So did we cover all of the questions that we talked about at the beginning? We talked a little bit about how to save evaluations. We talked about the approval process. Unfortunately, the certificates, we can't make them look any nicer. I'm so sorry, Jerry. I would love to, but that's not a thing. I'm monitoring progress. So is there anything else we wanted to cover that we didn't cover tonight?
I have a general question. You're a member of multiple clubs, so am I. How does each club know where we have progressed?
There's different ways that clubs know that. So I'm in a couple of clubs that use EasySpeak, and because in EasySpeak you can tell it you completed a project in this individual club, and then we'll show up for every club using EasySpeak. So the ones that I'm in EasySpeak, they all know that as it is. The other ones in the member progress, it shows where you've completed projects through each one of those levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
So you can always see within Pathways, EasySpeak I think does an amazing job of being able to show the educational and track the educational segment. But it's not part of Toastmasters, it just works with Toastmasters.
May I ask basic question about enrolling the log in the pathway. I have iPad and I try to sign in, log in the password, and it says you should put member ID, email, and password. And I tried many times, but they denied it's invalid username or password. What should I do?
There should
I
be a
cannot
reset.
log
There should
in.
be a reset password option. I would think. Is there a
Okay,
reset
and
password option on there?
reset.
Well, like, is
Yes.
there a little link that says forgot password?
Mm-hmm.
Try that.
Yes, okay.
Try that, and it'll send you a link to reset your password. That might help you out.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
And is that does people usually put the ID as a number? I should put the ID or email. Which one should I put in?
Email.
Email. Okay.
Email.
Right.
Are you going to remember your ID as well as your email?
Maybe I changed
Probably
my
not.
email. Yeah, that's why I cannot.
Yeah, you're probably going to remember your email more. So whichever one you remember more, use that. Use
Yeah,
the for the most.
Whichever email she put down when she signed up for Toastmasters, that's the one they're expecting when she tries to log in. So she has to use that original email, I would think, because that's.
I was thinking
change
that.
our
Are you
email,
meaning
then we.
Kyle, are you meaning which email to enter, or are you meaning what to put into the username field?
Member ID email field.
I thought you meant
usually put. Yeah, I usually put my name on the square, but my email was hacked. That's why I cannot enter the international pathway. I only enter the club website. That's my problem. But I learned a lot from this lecture. Thank you so much.
If you need to get it reset, contact Toastmasters International.
Okay.
You can just Google Toastmasters International, and you can be connected there, and someone can help you up there.
Thank you very much.
Yes. All right. So was this beneficial to everybody? Did you kind of get what you were looking for? Does this help you out at all? Worth your time?
I'll probably be back tomorrow.
Fantastic. I'm going to stop recording.